so amazing just being in the water out here. Could be at home, warm, watching TV, but we're out here at about 5 degrees Celsius temperature, cold water. But yeah, this is sweet. I'm surprised more people don't take advantage of this lifestyle. You know, it's really mind-blowing, some of the sights that we see out here, and just these days, they're unforgettable. Again, more people need to take advantage of this and get out.
Freediving in Canada, freediving in British Columbia for that matter. Is it cold? Yeah, part of the year it's cold, but it's really manageable if you follow a few best practices. So in this little video, I'm gonna help you all out if you wanna make the adaptation to cold water diving here in British Columbia. Take it from me, it's well worth it. I used to really hate wintertime. I'd be almost depressed, to be honest with you. It'd be summertime and I'd be dreading winter, but now I look forward to it. Driving 3-4 hours in the summertime with the drive spot, sitting in a vehicle, kind of gets to me. In the wintertime, I don't deal with that. I'm driving in rain, driving in cold conditions. I don't feel like I lost out on a beautiful summer day. You get in the water, spend your 2 hours in there, get a bit chilly, but still, you can see a lot in 2 hours, and it gives me something to look forward to. Winter diving is amazing. The visibility is a lot clearer. A lot of the spearfishing for lingcod and rockfish closes, but who cares? We're in the water half the time just to see sights, and we can still hand harvest and go after greenling and other various fish. So in this short video, I'm just gonna lay out some tips and tricks to stay warm before you get in the water, while you're in the water, and also after your dive, because you want to be comfortable when you get out too. The best advice I can give you is buy a suit that fits, one that fits snug but not too tight. Some dive shops like Diving Sports, they have suits you can try on so you can get the right fitting. They can also take your measurements and recommend a suit best suited for your dimensions, because a suit that fits me perfectly and I'd recommend won't necessarily fit for my dive partner. So get into a proper shop, or at least take your measurements and reference that to various wetsuits out there. When you are looking for a suit, you want it to be open cell neoprene. There's no lining on the interior. The neoprene goes right against your skin. They're night and day warmer, more flexible, and also more comfortable. 7mm is the consensus around here in BC if you're diving year round. Some people prefer 5mm because you get less neoprene and less weight on your body, but you can't go wrong with the 7mm. Farmer John are going to keep you warmer. Farmer John suits don't just cover your waist, they go all the way up and cover your chest. Pros and cons, pros and cons. Farmer John, you got 14mm if you have a 7mm suit of neoprene around your chest, but you also have more neoprene around your chest, which constricts breathing. So if you're someone that really suffers from the cold, you might want to go for the Farmer John style. If cold isn't a priority and you do want to extend your breath hold a little bit longer, waistcut would be a more optimal option for you. A lot of wetsuits, when it comes to the Farmer John, you have the option of cutting the vest off if need be. You can throw it on in the wintertime and then take it off in the summer. And if you do buy a waistcut suit, you can also buy a vest that goes underneath your waistcut suit and will keep you warmer. My fingers and toes are all frozen. I got something called Raynaud syndrome, so my fingers and toes are even more susceptible to the cold water. It's still always a pleasure getting out in these calm conditions with crystal clear water in the wintertime. Having a good suit that fits properly is really important, but just as important would be really good gloves and booties. If I ever call a dive, it's not because I'm shivering, it's usually because my hands or feet feel like they're about to fall off. First few years I dove, I just had myself the typical lined gloves, but now I don't dive with anything in the wintertime but open cell. Both open cell gloves and booties are gonna keep your hands way warmer. You're gonna extend your dive a hell of a lot longer, and it's gonna be just a more enjoyable experience. I haven't tried them yet, but I got myself a set of lobster claw gloves this year. They are apparently even warmer, and I dive with 5mm open cell gloves and booties. I also have a pair of 7mm booties. You don't need that amount of neoprene in the summertime, so what I'd recommend doing is putting them away in the spring. You don't want to destroy expensive booties for nothing. You know, get some 3 or even 2mm for the summer, and when the temperature drops, bust out those 5 and 7mm gloves again. Another one that works really nice for me is throwing my gloves on the dash of a vehicle. Same with my booties as I'm driving out to a dive spot. Crank the heat, and they're nice and toasty warm when you put them on, and you get a jump start before you jump into the ocean. Another one that I have to start practicing is remembering to bring my dive gear into the house. Keep it in a warm area. Sometimes I leave it in my vehicle. I wake up the next morning, go to a spot, and then I'm putting on a wetsuit that's freezing cold. I put one on once that was actually partially frozen. Make sure you bring your gear inside, because yeah, no one likes to put on a cold wetsuit. Before I head out for a dive, I like to have a hot shower right beforehand. It gets your core temperature nice and warm. When I'm driving to a dive spot, I'll crank the heat, you know, blast it to the point I'm uncomfortable, but at least again, getting a head start. Another one I'm not a huge fan of, I know a lot of my friends do it though, they put their equipment on before they get in the vehicle. That way when they show up at the dive spot, they don't have to change in the cold. They're doing it in the warmth of their home. I'm not a huge fan of that one though. I don't like having my wetsuit on unless I'm in the water, but to each their own. I can see why they do it, that's for sure. If you don't have one already, pick yourself up a dive poncho. They're awesome. A, you can get changed in public and don't have to expose yourself to anybody, so that's a huge benefit. B, they keep you warm. They block wind and they'll make changing before and after a dive that much more comfortable. When you got a bunch of wetsuit lube on and you're taking your clothes off and it's windy in the wintertime, you're frozen. Having that poncho worth their weight in gold. Spend the money, don't cheap out, dive poncho. Woo! If you don't gear up at home, when it comes time to getting your equipment on, organize everything. You don't want to have wet hands from mixing up your wetsuit lube in your wetsuit, and then you're digging out your gloves and there's a bit of a wind chill, and then your hands are frozen already before you even get in the water. So organize your gear, put everything out in a nice pile, put your wetsuit on, boom, gloves are there, ready to go. Don those and then jump in. When I remember, I usually boil some hot water and I'll mix my wetsuit lube up with some hot water. I find by the time I put it in my wetsuit and slosh it around, it's cold anyways, but I like to feel like I'm doing myself a favor there. Either way, if you need to warm your hands up, you can use some of that lube. I bought this warming personal lubricant as a bit of a trial to see if it would work to keep my hands warm, and that failed. I might try it again. I think my gloves had a hole in them, so they were letting water in, but we'll see. Either way, I'm gonna start using it for my booties and gloves. The best single piece of advice I can give you for while you're in the water is quantity over quality. Do a lot of dives, but to shorter depths and maybe not quite as long. If you're doing long dives, they're going to require a longer surface interval. So you're going to be laying on the surface, motionless, catching your breath, letting your heart rate slow down, and in turn, you're going to get cold. Plus, when you go to depth, neoprene compresses. So that 7mm suit might compress down to a 4 or 5mm suit, and thus offering less insulation, and you're going to get chilly. So to have a longer session in the water, you're going to be cutting your dive shorter and not going quite as deep, but pros outweigh the cons. Find a spot with a lot of life and say 10-15 meters and you'll be laughing. This one you should be doing regardless of the time of year, but feed your body with an energy boosting meal and drink ginger tea. A lot of herbal teas have hyperthermal properties. They'll keep your body warm from the core, from the inside out. So pound down some tea before a dive and after a dive. Post-dive teas are the best. I drink coffee, which has more of an adverse effect, but you know, it's my one vice. But tea is much better option. When you're heading out for a dive, you can also fill a few jugs up with hot water. Get in the ocean. When you're done, you can dump those jugs of water right over your head and it really warms you up, especially your appendages like your feet and toes if they're cold. I'm usually lazy for that one, but I got a few friends that always bring an extra bottle and hook me up, so shout out to you. My buddy Keon, he has a wicked portable shower. He got it at Mac. I think it was a few $100, a bit pricey, but that one's really nice. You can use it to shower off in the summer and winter. In the winter, hot water, just added bonus. This one's obvious, but wear warm clothes before going out to dive. If it's a hike in, dress in layers in case you overheat. You want to have the option to take a layer off, but when you're done diving, you can layer back up. It's awesome. So layers, stay toasty. Not a fan of this one, but cold water tolerance training. I know a lot of people are getting into that. They meet up with groups in their community and go to the beach in the wintertime and just hang out in the shallows, whether it be for 2, 5, 10 minutes. People I know also have cold showers. It lasts like 5-10 minutes. They'll crank the cold water. I can't do that. I'm a bit of a baby when it comes to the cold, but I'm sure it will build up that adaptation and prolong your diving in the winter. So some pros to it, but I don't like going through that self-inflicted torture. Teach their own. If you're in the ocean and you feel a chill coming on, swim around and get that blood flowing. Yeah, your heart rate's gonna go up, but you're gonna have to call your dive if you get cold. So pros outweigh the cons, and that goes to the last point, quantity over quality. Stay warm. That's the priority in the wintertime. Winter isn't the greatest time to train depth. You can train CO2 though, train your CO2 tolerance, but depth, maybe save that for the warmer months. Your body is also more susceptible to injury when it's cold. Everything's all tight. So make sure you spend some time stretching out. You don't want to get injured. Stretching really should be done regardless of the time of year though. It goes hand in hand with freediving. Boat dives in the winter can be extremely rewarding, but can also be extremely cold. You're going out to a spot, might take an hour or two just in travel. You're gonna get cold for sure. You're gonna be shivering away. So wind block is essential. You can get a dive poncho, throw that on before and after your dive. And also open cell neoprene interior is gonna keep you warmer, but also exterior. The exterior, having a smooth cell, is gonna wick away moisture, thus you're not gonna get cool from the wind chill effect. I'm not an expert on that though. I'm gonna direct you to Daniel Mann's video. Link will be in the description. Watch that. It's a whole tutorial on those type of suits. But you have some options available to keep you warm on a boat. Tea, again, tea. So there you have it. A few things that I'd recommend to keep you warm if you're diving all winter. I have so many people say, oh, I'm gonna get into diving and wait until summertime. Screw that. Wait until wintertime to get into diving. Honestly, I love winter now. I never did before. It's such a 180 compared to who I was before I started this journey. The water's cold. I'm not gonna lie, it's cold, but it's surprisingly warm with the equipment you have available. And with just a few minor little tweaks, you can prolong your days out in the ocean and make it all worthwhile. Visibility and the conditions are phenomenal. Anyways, hopefully you learned something. I highly doubt this was an exhaustive list, so if you have anything to recommend, throw it down in the comments. I can always learn stuff too, and if I do learn something, I'll more than likely share it with others. And that's what it's all about, helping each other out, helping this community grow, and doing things safely, responsibly, and comfortably. Peace and love, everybody. I'm gonna enjoy the beach here with my dog, looking for some beach glass. All right, see y'all again.